your ID, man?
I'm not gonna do that.
I'm here for a legal reason.
I have to have broken the law for you to get my ID.
Not true. I'm here for
I
a legal
promise
reason.
you.
So, we are here for a legal reason, meaning I am able to identify
Not anyone you want.
whoever is involved.
What's Raz? What is Raz? You can't say
Go ahead and place your hands behind your back if you want to continue arguing with me.
I'm not arguing.
He was in there filming.
He was filming?
Yeah, he was filming in there.
Have you guys seen First Amendment?
There's.
You should look into it, both of you.
I've.
First Amendment
Audit. So I'm auditing to see if they're going to violate my First Amendment rights. And so far, everyone has.
I completely understand that.
So this, I don't know the guy's name. He was inside video or recording on his phone. He's doing what's called a First Amendment RAS or something audit. Yeah, First Amendment audit. I mean, he's not causing any issues or anything. They asked him to step out and leave, and he stepped out.
The reason I placed you in cuffs is because you did refuse, right? I know that's not the way you see it, but that's the way we see it.
So you don't talk with the public for more than 3 seconds, and then you just put them in cuffs?
No, I asked you multiple times.
You should be more friendly with the public.
Dude,
I'm just talking to you like a man. There's no reason for you to try to assert your authority over me and put cuffs on me.
I'm not trying to assert my authority.
And throw me in the back of your car and all this. We could just be talking man to man right now. I don't understand what the situation is.
Okay, and when I attempted to be able to know who I was speaking with, you didn't want to give me your ID.
No, I attempted to have a conversation with you about your ability to get my ID, and then you didn't want to do that, and you just took it. So why not have a conversation? Maybe you learned something. Don't look at me like that, brother. You know I'm right.
Hey, this is Sergeant Jeremy Holloman at Conley Police Department. I was trying to reach Mr. Justin. My job here at the police department is to do our internal investigations and other stuff, but I was curious if you wouldn't mind giving me a call back, 501-450-6136. We were notified yesterday of an incident and found out about it, and then Chief decided and told me to do an internal investigation about the incident that occurred out at the post office. And I just wanted to see if you would have a free moment to sit down and talk about the incident so that we can make sure that we have everything correct. 501-450-6136. Thank you. Well, if there's something I can answer and I can actually answer it, just holler at me, okay?
Awesome. Well, I hope we can be friends, man.
All right. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Is this where I make complaints? File a written complaint?
Wait, why is this? You have a complaint on an officer? You got a complaint on an officer?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so she's not done one of these before, so.
Me neither.
Okay.
All right, what's up, everybody? Just a quick update here. So to everybody that said Conway would not do the right thing and that internal investigations would find no wrongdoing, check this out. It at least appears they are doing the right thing. Sergeant Holloman called me yesterday, said that there would be new training over the next month. There would be discipline with the officers. So shout out to him. I'll be following up on all that. And shout out to Chief Tapley. There's the wrong way and then there's the Conway, hopefully. Hey, I'm not here to harass you or anything. I just wanted to ask you a couple questions real quick, if that was cool.
I'm on my lunch break and I just kind of like to go.
30 seconds, brother. Have you guys gotten any new training over the last month over when you can and can't ID anybody? Have you specifically, I'll say.
Well, I'm just not going to get into it.
So is that a no? You can just tell me if you have or haven't. I just went and Freedom of Information acted the information.
Well, if you want to know, you can go.
I already did. I was just wanting to ask somebody.
Okay.
Do you know the?
You have a
Do you know
great day.
the? Do you know the 5 key elements of the First Amendment? And if you don't, most people don't. It's okay, but just say you don't, and then just promise me that you'll go look into it. Do you know it?
Have a good day, sir.
All right, what's up? So last week I went and FOIA'd a bunch of information, and I haven't got a chance to look at it yet. I wanted to look at it for the first time with you. So here it is. The email from Sergeant Jeremy Holloman, the Sergeant of Internal Affairs. He wrote, "Below you will find 3 links for the information requested. I put them in 3 folders since there were 3 requests to keep them straight. The first is a listing of officers. The second is the training and a list of those who have taken the course. The third is the disciplinary. The incident that you were involved in did not rise to the level of loss of pay. Since there was no loss of pay, the internal investigations does not reach the point of being released per FOI. Officer Antone has never been suspended or terminated, so there are no records there for him. Officer McGarry, however, has, and that is included." So he even knows my nickname. Let's click on the first one and just kind of scroll through that real quick. The current employees. I did kind of look at this earlier, honestly. And then he even included people that are not employed anymore. So that was nice of him. Alright, the second thing is the retraining. And a list of people who have completed it. So real quick, I want to look at the people that completed it first. I'm going to look for Antone, Colton Antone. He completed it with 100%. Where did I see McGarry? Here he is. He completed it with 100%. Notice how Antone did it immediately on the 8th, and McGarry was a few weeks later. Another person I want to look at, if you've seen my most recent video, I asked a cop about if he had taken the retraining, and he didn't want to answer. So let's see, Jeremy Perkins, he did, and passed the same day as McGarry. So why not just say he took it and passed? Why does he have to be like, oh, I don't want to get into it, blah blah blah? It's pretty silly. So let's look at the PowerPoint of First Amendment Auditors is the title. I thought this was a retraining on the Fourth Amendment. Let's see what they have to say. We the people. I like the background. First Amendment Auditors of the U.S. Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So when I asked Perkins about the First Amendment, he didn't seem to have an answer, but he got 100% on this test. What do they do? Wikipedia defines them as activists and citizen journalists that test constitutional rights, in particular, the right to photograph and video record in a public space. First Amendment audits are conducted by citizens with the goal of seeing whether or not their First Amendment right to photograph or video record is challenged in public spaces by members of government. Auditing is seen as a form of activism. What do? They travel to places, spaces considered public property, such as sidewalks or public right-of-ways, and or places upon to the public, such as post offices, police stations, courthouses, or other government buildings. The auditors will visibly, openly record video or take photographs of within the building's persons in their view. How are they conducted? When are we getting into learning the law and when you can and can't ID somebody? Anyways, recording on government property. An auditor will carry an active visual recording device, something as simple as a smartphone, into a public area of government space. The auditor's goal is to see if a member of government will challenge or question their recording or photographing while on the grounds within the building. The auditor may or may not engage public officials to gauge a response to the recording. The auditor many times will record the posted regulations regarding imaging within the building to show the establishment's rules. How are audits conducted? If the auditor is confronted by personnel regarding their recording, the auditor's response may vary. Depending on the interaction between the auditor and the location's personnel, law enforcement may be called to intervene or assist. Auditors will then record any all interactions with the law enforcement. Law enforcement response. What to do? All right, here we go. So, a seeming byproduct of these audits is to get to engage law enforcement to see what law officers will do or how they will handle the particular situation. Officers should first make contact with the complaining party to establish any possible violations of the law. It will be important to ensure you determine what the primary complaint is and whether or not the complaining party wishes to pursue legal charges against the auditor. Keep in mind the auditor may use various tactics to control the situation, such as talking over you, and that's what police do. That's all they do. They don't listen to a word you say, and they just talk over you, because everything they say is right, and it doesn't matter what you say. So that's kind of weird that, anyway, so such as talking over you, and may continuously cite their rights to record and be present in public space. God forbid they cite their rights. Keep calm during your interaction with the auditor. Law enforcement response. What to do? The law enforcement officer's job during these interactions is not to enforce an establishment's rules or regulations. It is to ensure violations of Arkansas law are dealt with properly. Okay? Handle the violations of law in accordance with Arkansas rules of criminal procedure. Rule 2.1, definitions. For the purpose of this article, unless the context otherwise plainly requires, reasonable suspicion means a suspicion based on facts or circumstances which of themselves do not give rise to the probable cause requisite to justify a lawful arrest, but which give rise to more than a bare suspicion. That is, a suspicion that is reasonable or opposed to an imaginary or purely conjectural suspicion. Conjectural. 2.2 rule. Authority to request cooperation. A law enforcement officer may request any person to furnish information or otherwise cooperate in the investigation or prevention of crime. The officer may request the person to respond to questions, to appear to a police station. The officer may request the person to respond to questions, to appear at a police station, or to comply with any other reasonable request. An officer may request any person to furnish information. You can request it. I don't have to give you my ID just because you request it, and I don't have to answer any questions just because you request it. So I feel like that's a little gray, the way they worded that. It's probably going to give officers the wrong idea, I feel like. Let's carry on. In making a request pursuant to this rule, no law enforcement officer shall indicate that a person is legally obligated to furnish information or to otherwise cooperate if no such legal obligation exists. So, okay, so they corrected themselves a little bit, but so they're saying they can request it, but they can't make me. Compliance with the request for information or other cooperation hereunder shall not be regarded as involuntary or coerced solely on the ground that such a request was made by a law enforcement officer. That's fair. Arkansas Rules of Criminal Procedure. Rule 2.3. Warning to persons asked to appear at a police station. If a law enforcement officer acting pursuant to this rule requests any person to come to or remain at a police station, prosecuting attorney's office, or other similar place, he shall take such steps as are reasonable to make clear that there is no legal obligation to comply with such a request. Arkansas Rules of Criminal Procedure, Rule 3.1, stopping and detention of person, time limit. A law enforcement officer lawfully present in any place may, in the performance of his duties, stop and detain any person who he reasonably suspects has committed, or is about to commit a felony or a misdemeanor involving danger of forcible injury to persons or of appropriation of or damage to property, if such action is reasonably necessary either to obtain or verify the identification of the person or to determine the lawfulness of his conduct. So they are saying the thing we all know: you need to suspect me of a crime, or I'm about to commit a crime, etc., before you can require my ID. An officer acting under this rule may require the person to remain in or near such place in the officer's presence for a period of not more than 15 minutes, or for such time as is reasonable under the circumstances. So they can't just hold you there indefinitely. They got 15 minutes to conclude that you have committed a crime or about to, and if none of that's happened and 15 minutes has passed, it's time to go. So then it says, at the end of such period, the person detained shall be released without further restraint or arrested and charged with any offense. Doing good so far, Conway. Arkansas Rules of Criminal Procedure, Rule 3.2, Advice as to Reason for Detention. A law enforcement officer who has detained a person under Rule 3.1 shall immediately advise that person of his official identity and the reason for the detention. So if I'm detained, so I guess they're saying they don't have, or I guess they aren't saying that they don't have to identify until I'm detained, but they are saying that once I am detained, it's required to state who they are and why I am detained. So that's good to know. Let's see, what do we got left? Audits of law enforcement. Auditors may also choose to film LEOs while performing their day-to-day duties. Auditors may choose to film at traffic stops, calls for service locations, or they also choose to film on the grounds of the police department. We must remember a person's right to record LEOs has been designated a protected activity by the courts. Yes, sir. Filming on government-controlled spaces. An auditor can film through open windows as long as it does not violate any voyeurism laws. This includes vehicles. That's correct. Auditors may choose to record all vehicles parked on government parking lots. They got it covered. They may choose to do this to get a negative reaction from an officer or employee. Some people may. I don't do anything to get a negative reaction. If you have a negative reaction, that's on you. I don't know if you've watched my previous videos, but I'm never the one starting the interaction. The negative interaction, anyway. Filming on government-controlled spaces. Unless signs are posted specifically prohibiting unauthorized persons to be present on the lot, they can be there. If the individual is not specifically barred from being in certain areas on the lot, they may also record while on the lot, to include the interiors of the vehicles, license plates, etc. The best way to secure items information from viewing and recording is to sanitize the contents of the vehicle, hide items, and close laptop screens, bags, etc. They got it, man. It's not hard. Filming of law enforcement during enforcement or other activities. Do not interrupt or challenge recording that is taking place in areas open to the public. If the public can be in that place, they can record there too. Well said. Be careful about engaging anyone filming. The individuals may attempt to elicit a negative response from you. Do not fall for any traps. They may record and use later for social media views. Filming of law enforcement during enforcement or other activities continued. If the auditor is interfering with your investigation or specific duties at the time, then certain laws may apply. I hope they get into what interfering is, because interfering is a physical act. Use discretion and candor when deciding to enforce action against someone filming your activities. You must be able to defend your actions both in the criminal courts and possibly civil courts. Be certain, all caps, you are within the realm of the applicable law and not violating the United States Constitution. So, let me see real quick. So they don't specify what is interfering. So I hope that's not a problem later, because interfering is a physical act. If just because I'm 10 feet away or 20 feet away and they feel like that's distracting, that doesn't justify as interfering. Or even if I'm talking, I'm allowed to talk, that's not interfering. So I hope they understand that. But moving on, these audits can be difficult to navigate as the ever-changing field of interpretation of rights is argued within the courts. Stay within the confines of established law and procedure while balancing the need for enforcement versus public harm. When possible, seek counsel from supervisory personnel and/or criminal prosecutors when dealing with auditors before, all caps in red, enforcement action is taken. So that's smart. Stay professional, and most importantly, stay safe. And I agree with that. Everyone does need to stay professional, and the more professional you stay, the safer you stay. Just if everyone is professional with each other, then typically things don't escalate, is all I mean by that. And I think we just have some resources at the bottom here. All in all, I like the PowerPoint. They did a good job. They missed, one or two small things, but honestly, I think they got it. Conway PD, they aren't out here pulling everybody over any little thing. They've honestly never really done anything to me until this recent interaction at the post office. So I have faith that they will do good from here. So there's that. What are we missing? Yes. So I got the disciplinary action of McGarry and Antone. There wasn't one for Antone because he hasn't done anything to rise to the level of being able to FOI the info. But McGarry has been suspended. What is all this? What is this in here again for? Oh, he put this in here again. All right. Okay, so let's just start here. Okay, so this is the letter from the chief to McGarry. Let's skim through this real quick. This should cover it for us. To Officer McGarry, from Chief Tapley, our man. After a thorough administrative inquiry conducted by Sergeant Jeremy Hallman, our other friend, it is conclusive that you did violate the following policy and or procedures mandated by the Conway Police Department Policy Manual 500-1, Property and Evidence Control. The administrative inquiry revealed that on February 3rd, 23, so this was 11 days before the day I was violated at the post office, which was Valentine's Day the 14th. You met with District Court Probation Officer Hollis to collect evidence from him. You maintained control of that evidence until February 5th before attempting to place it into evidence. At that time, the evidence lockers were full. You did not notify supervisors and instead continued to maintain control of the evidence. On February 7th, you turned the evidence over to Officer Cleghorn to place it into evidence. By this time, you had been in possession of the evidence for 5 days. The 500-1 states, in part, all property is required to be logged into agency records and placed under the control of the property property evidence function before the officer ends his/her tour or duty. It is the findings of the review board that you exercised poor judgment in this incident. Considering the totality of the aforementioned circumstances, it is considered in the best interests of the department to invoke the following personnel actions. During the pay period beginning March 12, 23, you will be suspended without pay for 12 hours. No overtime or extra duty employment will be authorized until after March 25th. So McGarry was actually on a type of suspension, I guess you could call it. I don't know if I'd call it suspension. He was just back from suspension without pay for 1 day. It was his first, no way. It was his first day back from suspension whenever he got called onto the scene with me at the post office, and then had to go through it again. Made another bad call. He seemed like an alright dude, but maybe he needs to look in things a little better. So that's kind of funny. Literally the day he comes back from suspension is when he gets called onto my scene, and mayhem, you know the rest. You will be placed on the department's early warning system. A performance plan will be developed and coordinated with Sergeant Jeremy Holloman. As remedial training, you will review all the aforementioned listed sections of the Conway Police Department Policy Manual. Additionally, you will respond back via memo through your chain of command. To your commanding supervisor, Major Clay Smith, that you have reviewed, understand, and will comply with these listed procedures/systems. Major Smith will advise me when your response has been received. You should receive your response on the first day you return to work after your suspension is complete. So that should be, if it started on the 12th, and then it was the 13th, the 14th was when it happened. Or no, actually, I'm sorry. I'm thinking February, and this is March. So that's funny. I made a mistake. Anyways, it continues. Please be advised that the following department order is a very important part of your job at the Conway Police Department. These policies exist to protect you and our citizens. Subsequent violations of department policy, procedures, or rules may result in disciplinary action up to and including dismissal. So, overall, that shows good on Conway PD. This wasn't a big deal. This looks like he had evidence. He was supposed to turn it in. There wasn't any room to turn it in, so he held it for another day or two until he was able to turn it in, or I guess 5 days, which is quite a bit. And instead of, just shrugging that off or putting that under the rug, they wrote him up and suspended him for 2 days over it. So that shows good. As something as small as that, they take serious. So I like that. I approve. So that's all I got, guys. Let's see. This is just some other stuff. Let's see. Uh-oh.
Today is February 13th, 2023. I have got 10:25 a.m. This is Sergeant Jeremy Holman. I'm in the office with Officer McGarry. Officer McGarry, the other day we went over 2 forms. I read these to you, and you signed them. This is CPD Form 46 and CPD Form 209. Is that your signature there on both of those? Yes, sir. Do you have any questions about either one of these forms? No, sir. If at any time you think of something or something pops up, let me know, okay? Okay. So it was brought to my attention that last week, on Wednesday, which was February the 8th, it was noticed that Officer Cleghorn at shift meeting had some evidence that he needed to put in evidence. And so there was a question as to why, why was that on the first day of working? Why do you have that?
Good.
And so being off the previous 2 days, it's a valid question. And so I believe it is 2 vape pens.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Tell me about that. How did you come into contact with in possession of those?
On his days off. I don't know that. I'm just.
How'd you get it? Why'd you get it? What'd you get? And then how did it end up being in Claiborne?
Sure. Friday the 3rd, I took a report from a probation officer, Hollis, I believe is his name.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the incident happened the week before that, but due to inclement weather, he didn't call us, I guess because of the snow days. Anyways, I took the report from him on the 3rd, which was a Friday. Got the evidence from him on the 3rd, which was a Friday. I did my report on it Sunday towards the end of shift, and at the end of shift, I attempted to enter the 2 vape pens into evidence and turned around to pick out a locker, and there was all the buttons were pushed except for the biggest one in there, the one you put a body in. So I didn't put my little envelope or little baggie of evidence in there. I got called to Conner Regional to relieve an officer watching the 10-15, so I stuck it back in my duty bag and went and did that. And at the end of shift, I kept it in my duty bag and was going to enter it the next shift that we came in. Got sick, knew I wasn't going to come in on Wednesday, and I called Cleghorn on the phone, and I asked him, I said, hey, will you do me a favor? I've got this, I'm not going to be in to work tomorrow. Will you enter this evidence for me? He said, yes. I took it to his house, and that's basically it. And I realized I'm up here for a reason, so I'm sure I did something horribly wrong. So
yeah. Well, 500-1 is evidence and property control, and
sure
them vape pens.
Well, is there a reason why you didn't enter it in evidence on the day you got it?
No, I'm just waiting to take care of that report on Sunday. There's no particular reason. From now on, I'm going to start doing that.
Well, you should have been doing that already.
Okay.
You don't have to have a report done to
Okay.
put something in evidence. It should go into evidence and then do your report.
Absolutely.
So if I was asked, why didn't he put it in on Friday the 3rd when he got it? I don't have a good answer.
Yeah, there's not a good answer for that.
Okay. What about Saturday? Why didn't it get put in on Saturday?
I didn't, because I just didn't do it on Saturday. I don't have an explanation.
Okay. Why didn't you do the report on Friday?
Well, I've been told that we can, if we have other reports to do, we can, just as long as we have our reports done by the end of our finishing shift. And so that was one of my last ones. So,
He's nervous.
The lockers were full on Sunday.
yes, sir.
Did you tell your supervisors?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I don't have an answer for that either. I should have gone to Sergeant and asked him what I needed to do, but I didn't.
Yeah. In the past, and I don't know that this would be the case, but we can put it in the taser room.
Okay.
Temporary, just for future reference.
Okay. The evidence in the taser room.
Because it's a secure area
Okay.
that only supervisors have access to. I've done that before, so but it's how your supervisor wants to handle it.
Yeah.
Why call Cleghorn and take it to him?
I called him because I wasn't going to be at work the next day. He was just the person I thought of.
Yeah.
For no particular reason.
Why call him instead of bringing it to the PD?
Yeah. I didn't think about that. Just like I didn't think about a lot of things in this whole process. So,
Why not bring it up here on Monday?
yeah, I should have done that.
Okay.
I should have done that.
What was the evidence?
2 vape pens. One was green and one was orange, I believe.
Okay. Were they going to try to get the charges filed?
As far as I know, yes. He'd already done like an ADR, and something else. He just wanted to do a report, file a report, so that's all I did. He said he wanted the vapes and did the evidence, and so I took his report and got his information, got the vapes, and totally dropped the ball on taking care of it when I should have. So.
Did you explain the warrants process to the probation guy?
I did not, because he already took the gentleman, I think his last name was Tillman, into custody and already put him in jail for it.
Oh, okay.
So
that was an arrest they'd already made.
Yes, it was an arrest that was already made. So he was in jail already. Okay.
So, last question. Your report says if I look at this report, it shows report number 23-02000324 says. I don't like looking at these on paper. I like looking at them better on the computer. Makes it a little simpler. Let me pull that up. 0200. If I look at this report, it says report date 2/3 says you did it, and then if I go to narrative, it says I took possession of the vapes and entered them into evidence to be sent to the crime lab. Would that be a true statement?
No, not a true statement.
Have you done a supplement to the report?
Not yet. I haven't touched it.
Get with your supervision and see if they want to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't touched it since I had a heads up that something was going on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know the importance of your report says one thing and you did something different.
I completely understand.
That's what it says.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's all I got. Do you have anything else to add about the incident? Anything that I missed?
No.
Anything important? Anything worth mentioning?
No, there's no ill intended. I can promise you that. Just very poor judgment.
Okay. You gonna go read that report, that directive?
I am.
500-1. Go read it.
I'm gonna read it.
Last thing, and then we'll
reread it.
yeah, read it twice. Last thing, and we'll end it. Okay. Is this the first time this has happened, or has this happened before?
No, it's the first time.
Not just taking evidence home, but having somebody else get it and put it in for you?
It's never happened. No.
Neither one of those things?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, that's all I got.
Okay.
All right, we'll end it there.
Then why does it happen today? Something else I'm curious about is when does it become when does it stop being evidence and just turn into possession? At what point does he get a charge for possessing illegal substances on top of that were supposed to be turned into the police department 5 days prior? You know, he did get suspended 2 days, no pay, no overtime, but I mean, he possessed illegal drugs for 5 days. On top of that were police evidence. So, you know, is that a possession charge? At what point does it turn into one, I wonder? Let's see. We got another video.
This is Sergeant Hallman in my office again. I've got Officer McGarry. You just walked out like what, 3 minutes ago? I thought of a follow-up question, and since we left and started anew, you know that these still apply.
Yes, that's
okay. You said something that after you left made me think. You said something to the effect of, I said something about we have a directive or a policy about property and evidence control, and you said I'm sure I screwed it up. Do you not know the policy? Is that a training issue that you weren't trained properly on the process, or is it something you knew and forgot?
It's probably something I wouldn't say I wasn't trained properly on that. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus when it comes to training, but it's obviously something that I didn't retain and need to go back and read for sure.
I felt like that was important.
I'm going to be honest with you, I don't recall going, what's the directive, the name of the directive? Is it chain of
property and evidence control?
I know that I have skimmed through that policy, but I I don't remember anybody ever talking about it. That doesn't mean that did not talk about it.
Right. I mean, you know that you got to know the there's 500-1, which is property and evidence control, and there's 500-2, collection and preservation of evidence. And so I just wanted to make sure, like one is he didn't know that he had to put evidence in the same day, or.
I just want to stop and say real quick, props to Sergeant Jeremy Holloman. You know, we all, and I'm sure it is like this in a lot of other departments, but we all picture the internal affairs being best friends with all the cops, and even when they get something that they have to, discipline the cops over, that it's still like a elbow to elbow, it's all good, buddy, type thing. But it really seems like Sergeant Holloman here is, he's really questioning him. They don't seem like buddy. Officer McGarry seems nervous, which is how he should be. So I want to give it props to Holloman for doing his job properly. In my opinion, it's not what I pictured, and it's actually a lot better than I pictured. So that's really cool.
There's a two. Yeah, I knew that. In this case, I got busy and didn't do that.
Another thing I want to mention about it is another props to Sergeant Holloman is I didn't even know this happened. I didn't request this video. I just requested the disciplinary report of these officers. I think I went back 6 months or something, and he included everything he could. So props to him. I really appreciate that, and it just shows transparency. It shows, in my opinion, that he's just doing his job, doing the right thing, and he's not covering anything up. He's not hiding anything, or I would hope so. I would hope he's not. It seems like he's giving me more than I've asked for. But anyways, let's finish watching this real quick.
I didn't know how to put it in the same day.
Okay.
My understanding is reports and evidence all has to be taken care of, whether it's a 2-day shift or a 3-day shift in that time frame.
Well, evidence should be done as soon as possible.
Yes, sir.
You have chain of custody, you have
Sweaty palms.
Explanation of time for court. If it was to go to court, you have to be able to explain if you had a major incident and you had some major evidence and the defense attorney said, okay, well, you got that on Friday, you didn't put it in evidence until Sunday, what did you do with the evidence? And so as soon as possible, I just wanted to ask you that. And so it's something that you have Power DMS, you got access on the server. You probably at some point in time acknowledged on Power DMS that you've read those.
Yes, sir.
And so I just want to make sure it wasn't a training issue or it was a me issue. Is it a me issue?
It's a me issue.
Okay, that's all I had then. Okay.
So I do want to look at one more thing. I just want to scroll through this. These are all the officers that 100% passed the retraining on the Fourth Amendment, on really First Amendment auditors, the retraining on First Amendment auditors. I don't like the way they went about it, but it is what it is. But anyways, 100% pass, everybody. Nobody got one thing wrong. So everyone is 100% clear on what you can and can't do. Oh, Mr. Wesley Pence, sir, I'm gonna need you to take your test, sir, and get 100% like everyone else, please. Even William Tapley took it. Look at that. Chief. Anywho, there better not be any more issues if everyone got 100%. So, we'll continue to test that here in Conway, and hopefully it goes fine. So, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. So another thing I wanted to touch on was the Conway PD seemed to disable their comments on their Facebook page for a while. There were a lot of comments about my interaction with them
but it does seem to be re-enabled. Also, I got word that David Grimes from City Council instructed Felicia Rogers, the assistant to the mayor, to add the chief of police and the records email to their website.